Hello, my name is John Sveck. Welcome to this ALL24 video. Today, Coach Waterman and I are joined by Coach Joe D'Amore. He is the offensive coordinator with the Essex Ravens. Thanks for being with us again, Coach.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Awesome. We're going to do a one clip. So, Coach Waterman, if you would do the honors and just tell me when to stop my cursor here.
And stop.
Okay, so we have a randomly selected play.
Big 3-yard player.
Big 3. There you go. And luck of the draw, Coach. So we have a 1st and 10 situation.
All right.
Looks like the offense has come out. I'm assuming that's a tight end to the boundary with a really deep number 1 receiver. And we also have a wing to the field. Any initial thoughts on this 1st and 10 when you see the alignment, Coach?
Well, for me, this is pretty much what's hilarious that we hit this. This is pretty much our queen formation. The only dictation is the fullback is off the line, a yard instead of being down on the line as a tight end. And really, but it's a double tight look. I think as a defensive coach, you treat this as a double tight when the wing's that, tight and the fullback's that tight to the line of scrimmage. So we got a queen look here. It's a 1st and 10. Obviously, Carlton loves the outside zone. So you would anticipate, more likely an outside zone play here on 1st and 10. You got the 1 to the boundary off the line of scrimmage. And that really allows him to get vertical quickly. If you do have a matchup you like there, I know, the twin forward plays the corner boundary at Waterloo, talented kid, but at least allows a little bit of movement and to work some leverage. You're not stagnant being on the line of scrimmage, and he can come up and just press you. So you got a little bit of movement there, and then you got the 2 receivers to the field here. And with the free high, you look like right now the one field guy's giving you an indication that they're playing man. His eyes locked on, a little bit. We'll see if he bails off or he comes flying down here. So, yeah, we're going to get man.
So something's triggering that free safety, as you said, Coach, coming down pretty aggressively there.
Yeah, and I think really if you're looking at film, he sees that motion coming across the field right now. So I think as far as like a rotation period, the free's responsibility would be to play that guy who becomes the 3 to the field. So he's coming down hard on that play, defend the slice play or any kind of look like that. And then, you got the corner, basically coming across and becoming the high defender, I would assume.
Yeah, it looks a little spin, like they're spinning a little bit.
Yeah, just a late spin, and the free comes down hard there. As an offensive guy, if you see that on film, obviously a free playing that physical downfield, I think that's something you could take advantage of. Whether you had the 2 run, some kind of post vertical, you're asking a lot of that boundary corner, especially with that depth drop, that flat, to help with any kind of, post route. I think that's going to be a challenge for him. And that free safety, obviously coming downhill, he's pretty much taken himself out of any kind of vertical defense play. So, 1st and 10, you're playing Carlton. You're more likely going to get some kind of run. Probably statistically more than 50% of chance you're going to get some kind of run play, whether, it is outside zone or not. So they're probably playing the numbers game here and defending more run than they are pass.
And Joe, you mentioned that queen being one of your base formations, this formation here. Can you talk a little bit about when you put that tight end at number 2 weak, what kind of things the defense can actually do and how do they have to deal with that?
Well, I think it sometimes depends on who you have at the 2 week. Like if you do have an O lineman, obviously they're thinking run. And then you really got to kind of decide, how you're going to defend that. If you have trust in your boundary corner, a lot of times they'll play that half and they'll bring them into the box like they did here, like Waterloo has. They pretty much add them to the box and they're going to say, hey, we're going to defend the run and we're going to leave our talented corner by himself to the boundary on a one-on-one thing. And for us, when we look at this formation and we have normally a 1 to the boundary in a regular queen, we look at that right away. The first read for our quarterback pre-snap is the backside half. If he's high, then more likely we're going to work to the field if it's a pass play. If he's low in the box, we tell him we'll go to the boundary. Most of our routes are either vertical or deep comebacks or things like that a half in the box can't help with. So we're going to attack that right away. And then, if the half comes over, then obviously we're going to either run the ball to the weak side because now they're just weak. They don't have enough defenders. to defend that. They got a corner who can be blocked by a one and stuff like that. So really for us, I think it becomes what they do with that backside half. Do they want to leave them there? Do they want to keep them high? And you can really tell what teams' philosophies are when it comes to double tight. If it's like, we're going to stop run and we're going to force you to pass out of that formation, or we're going to make sure you don't get vertical and get any big plays out of that formation. Because oftentimes, when you have 8-man pro, you're going to take shots. You're going to protect. You're going to run play action. You're going to throw the ball downfield. And some teams are like, hey, we're going to play too high, guys, and we're going to try to defend the box with a light box. And, sometimes if teams are just more talented up front, they can do that. You know what I mean? And sometimes we got in situations at Windsor that teams did that to us. And unfortunately, we were just, outmanned up front, and the front four was better than our front five. And they were able to defend that way. But if you have a equal group of talented players, I think, you really just kind of look to how they're going to defend it. And then you kind of, if they're going to give you the run, you take the run. You can't be greedy in that sense.
That's great. We'll get to the tight here in a second. I enjoy this motion. I think, depending what you're seeing in your conference, if you're going to be that kind of spinning team, it's probably more often that it's the free and the boundary half working together on that rotation. Whereas in this formation, now you bring the corner into it. Again, depending on what you're seeing in your conference, you may or may not be as comfortable in that position.
Yeah, and more likely they're doing this for the sole purpose of run defending. They say, we're going to leave the half in the box. He's a better run defender than our corner.
And I think we're going to see him get involved in this play here.
And he gets involved, because if you rotate the half high and you leave the corner of the tight end, I'm running at the corner every time.
Absolutely.
And the boundary corner, they're not known to be the most physical. They're the fancy cover guys, and they want to cover and do that kind of stuff. So you get that formation here. And if you look at it, like, we didn't get that look earlier, but that actually is a running back. So it's not a true tight end. They say that the fullback to the field and another, I think that was their one running back. So he's coming off, he's trying to cut off the backside defensive end. And see there, the half makes the play.
That's a great job.
And really here, you're kind of outnumbered here. This is kind of more of this is kind of like an inside zone, out of a stretch look. They're really getting on a track, and Carleton really gets on a track. They're more of a, horizontal run team as opposed to like getting up vertically. They really like to get get the lanes and find them. But that's the challenge there when you're trying to run where the half stays in the box. You have no guy to block for him. You got no guy to account for him, and you're hoping the running back makes him miss an open space, and he doesn't. And you're limited to a 3-yard gain here. So that's a great job by Waterloo, and that guy staying disciplined and really not, kind of overrunning his defensive end and getting himself in bad leverage. He stays outside contain. That's his job. He's, the contain man, and he kind of cleans it up. So
that's a very good point, Coach. I mean, we spoke to Coach Hopkins before, talking about they run their inside zone, a true C-gap to C-gap play. Mm-hmm. So that discipline on the defensive side of the ball has got to be there, and that cutback. So you're right, that defensive boundary half does a great job of just playing disciplined football and stepping up and making a tough open field tackle against a pretty good running back, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, obviously you look at this as an offensive guy and you see how they defended. And if you boot off of this, you have the back come back and maybe help pass pro with that backside half off the boot. But it's a pretty clean boot for that quarterback right now. With that action, not a lot of defenders there right in his face. There's a lot of room there. If you do have that back, maybe come back and run a slice route out the back end. And then you have, the fullback come across and have some kind of crossing flood concept. You can really out leverage Waterloo here to the boundary, because that corner gets put in a bit of a bind. And we run a play similar to this off play action where, that corner, we play a low and a high over his head. And basically, if he jumps the first one, we throw the ball over his head. If he wants to get deep and defend, we'll throw that intermediate one. And we kind of release the tight end to that boundary to make that half chase him, and stuff like that. So this, you could see more likely that they probably have some kind of boot off of this, action, that just by the way they're moving and the quarterback's giving that action early on to kind of see what they give him.
Phenomenal. And, we always talk about versatility as coaches. I think that's probably more prevalent now than ever. We have running backs. We're blocking defensive ends, and our halfbacks are playing the box. And just the more you can do in today's football, I think that's really interesting.
Oh, for sure. And it gives you, different looks as well, and defenses guys are all about personnel and things like that. And you got basically 3 running backs in the backfield there. And that kind of, your head starts spinning as a defensive coach saying, okay, well, what are they doing this for? There's a purpose behind it. It's not like they don't have the personnel to put another tight end there. So they're really doing it for some kind of reason. And it's the challenge of trying to figure out why they're doing it. And at some point in the game, they're going to do something with that formation. And you try to figure it out before they get you on it. So.
Absolutely. Well, that's a great breakdown, guys. Really appreciate your time, Coach. Fun talking football with you.
It was great, man. I appreciate you guys having me.
Thanks, Coach.